Today is July 17, 2024. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life. This is Pro-Life Week. Well, there has been some fallout regarding the Secret Service's failure to secure the perimeter at that Trump rally in Pennsylvania. Just not able to secure that rooftop where that shooter was. Just a real failure. And there's been some talk, maybe a lot of people are calling on President Biden to fire the head of the Secret Service. And the woman who's the head, she seems to be kind of like a person that really is pushing for DEI, kind of woke policies where, she wants to check off the boxes, how many women are on the force, how many minorities are on the force. So, do we really want that? Don't we want the best? Don't we want the best? And, if you're a woman and you are the best, that's great. If you're a minority and you're the best, that's fine with me. But don't pick people just because they check off a category. Okay. And we still don't have a motive as to why this young man wanted to kill the president. But something we do know, at least I think most people with an ounce of common sense would know, that God really intervened this past Saturday. I mean, there's just no getting around the fact that God saved Donald Trump's life. And on day one of the Republican National Convention, Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina gave a speech. And it was a rousing speech in support of President Trump. And you might say it was almost like a sermon, like an Old Testament prophet. It's amazing, amazing speech. And Senator Scott is not shy about his faith, and that is very evident in some of the words he used. I'm just going to be quoting a little bit from the speech, and you get the flavor. And trust me, I'm not going to give my interpretation of Tim Scott's speech. I can't do him justice, but I'll read it. If you don't believe in miracles before Saturday, you better be believing in them right now. Thank God Almighty that we live in a country that still believes in the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the Alpha and the Omega. And our God still saves. He still delivers. And he still sets free. Because on Saturday, the devil came to Pennsylvania holding a rifle. But an American lion got back up on his feet and he roared. And when Senator Scott said that, the whole crowd just went wild. It was such a moving statement. And I think a lot of people in the crowd began to say, fight, 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 which is what, Donald Trump said when he was kind of lifted up from the ground by the Secret Service agents, and he thrusts his hand in the air, fight. And it's a powerful moment in American political history, that scene. Okay. Today, Congressman Adam Schiff, who is running for the Senate in California, he became the most widely known Democrat calling on Joe Biden to pull out of the race. And I heard today, whether it's a rumor or not, I don't know, that Majority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York has actually had a conversation with Biden and is encouraging him to step out too. So if that's true, if Schumer is now beginning to say this, perhaps he's kind of releasing party regulars to now come out and really see what they think. And perhaps there's going to be a snowball effect as more Democrats come out. If Schiff and Schumer can do it, well, maybe I can too. So we'll see. I mean, as of right now, we've only got like 20 people who have officially come out and said, no, Joe Biden should withdraw from the race. And that's not enough. And Biden is digging in his heels and he wants to stay. So we'll see what happens. But if he did pull out, Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee. I hadn't thought that, but the more I find out that according to election finance guidelines or rules, if you're a presidential candidate and you are forced for whatever reason to pull out of the race, the money that you have raised for your campaign cannot go to anyone else except your running mate. So if Gavin Newsom or like Richard Whitmer were to jump into the race, they would be ineligible to tap into the Biden campaign tens of millions of dollars. But Kamala Harris, because she's the running mate, she would be able to receive those funds and continue the campaign. So for that reason alone, it doesn't look like other people are going to be doing it because they would be starting from square one on fundraising. And it's getting late. It's getting late. Now, getting back to the RNC, I'm going to be jumping back and forth as I talk, but getting back to the RNC, there has been very little talk about abortion or the right to life at the convention. Yesterday, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida did mention the right to life, but other than his and maybe a few just isolated comments, it's been crickets at the Republican convention. It really has been. They are afraid of making abortion an issue. They kind of want to talk about immigration and fentanyl and gas prices and food prices and those are all valid issues. But they don't want to talk about abortion because I think they see that reproductive rights has become a lightning rod for the Democratic voters. And they want to make that a big thing. And when the Democrats have their convention in August, look to see every speech, every politician at that podium. And he or she will be talking about reproductive rights, how evil Donald Trump was when he nominated those 3 conservative pro-life justices for the Supreme Court, and how they struck down Roe v. Wade in the Dobbs decision. It's that evil Donald Trump. He did it. And he took away women's reproductive rights. How dare him do that? So expect to see reproductive rights nonstop at the DNC. Okay. Now, speaking of the Supreme Court, I heard today that Joe Biden is calling on legislation to put some changes in the Supreme Court in the way of term limits for justices. Term limits. There might be some other changes too, but that's the big issue. Term limits. Wants to get some of those old GOP guys out like Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito. Well, if Biden wants to see that kind of a change, it's going to have to come through a constitutional amendment. Because here's what the U.S. Constitution says about the Supreme Court or the judicial branch. Article 3, Section 1 of the Constitution. Quote, the judges, both of the Supreme Court and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior. Unquote. That's it. They hold their positions, their offices, during good behavior. Now, my translation, for life. They hold their offices for life. Good behavior implies that if their behavior is not good, if there's something wrong, if there's a failure, if there's a crime, if there's something, they can be removed. They can be impeached. And that actually has happened very, very rare times. But lifetime appointments, but you can be removed by impeachment. So for Biden to want to see some kind of a constitutional change, it's going to have to be an amendment. And here's the process for a constitutional amendment. You need 2/3 support in the House, 2/3 support in the Senate. And then if you get past those two thresholds, which is very difficult given the makeup of Congress today, especially the Senate. Well, they're both pretty much 50-50. But then if it were to pass, it goes to the state legislatures, and you need support, approval by 3/5 of the states. I mean, that's why it's so difficult to get a constitutional amendment, because it's really hard to get 3/5 of all the states. What is that, 38 states? It's really hard to do that. Okay, so Biden's dream of a change in the Supreme Court with term limits, that is not going to happen. Okay, last item, back to the GOP. J.D. Vance gives his big speech tonight, now that he's been tapped as vice president, running mate. I know last time I did speak a little disparagingly, a little non-supportive of Trump, of Vance on the ticket. And I do apologize for that. I mean, I do support the ticket. I do. I mean, there's no way that I would support a Biden-Harris ticket. Absolutely no way. And the other minor candidates, you're throwing your vote away, and they're all pro-abortion. So it's the Trump-Vance ticket that I support. And Vance is far more pro-life than Donald Trump is. I mean, Trump is pro-life, but he has exceptions for rape and incest. But J.D. Vance does not. He believes that a child should be protected even in cases where the conception has come through a rape or through incest. And that is the pure pro-life position. So for that, I do salute and applaud J.D. Vance's strong, solid pro-life position. I do. I really support that. So with that, I will let you go, and I'll see you next time.